She had just $20 in her name. Her mother was sick. Her fridge was empty. She hadn't eaten all day. But when she saw a hungry stranger sitting alone, drenched from the rain and staring at an empty plate, she chose to buy him dinner instead of herself. What she didn't know was, that simple act would change everything. Autumn Ray, 24, had dreams bigger than her Kansas City zip code, but life hadn't been kind. A top graduate in business administration with honors, she still found herself stuck bussing tables at Sammy's Grill, a small roadside diner open 24/7 and mostly forgotten. Her mother, Janet, was at home battling chronic heart disease. Bills were unpaid. Her pantry was near empty. Rent was overdue. Still, Autumn showed up each day, with tired eyes but a kind smile, and gave the world what little light she had left. The sky outside cracked with thunder as the rain picked up. That's when the door creaked open. A man walked in, soaked and silent. His hoodie was damp, his shoes caked with city mud. He looked lost, not just physically, but spiritually. Like he had taken too many wrong turns trying to find the right one. Autumn noticed him sit at the far corner booth, away from everyone. He picked up the menu, stared at it for a while, and gently set it down without ordering. She approached with her notepad, gently asking, "Can I get you anything?" The man looked up with tired green eyes. "I just need a place to sit for a minute. I won't bother anyone. I'm not here to cause trouble." Autumn paused. She saw something in his expression, more hunger than fear. More pain than pride. She turned around, walked to the counter, and opened her purse. $20.13. That's all she had. She took a breath. Then she turned back to the cook. "Give me the Thursday special. Add fries." "No onions," she said. "For who?" the cook asked. She pointed to the stranger. "Him." A few minutes later, she placed the steaming plate in front of him. He looked at her, confused. "I didn't order this." She smiled. "I know. But you look like you need it more than I do." He sat in silence for a moment, then whispered, "Thank you." Autumn replied softly, "Just promise me you'll do something kind for someone else someday. That's all I ask." He ate quietly. Every bite looked like it hurt his pride, but also warmed his soul. She didn't know his name. She didn't ask. She just gave. What Autumn couldn't have known was that this wasn't just any man. This was Jace Walker, only son of billionaire Douglas Walker, heir to a $3.4 billion empire. But Jace had walked away from it all after a brutal family feud. Now, broke and stripped of identity, he was searching for meaning, and found it in the kindness of a waitress who had nothing. That night, Jace didn't go to a shelter. He sat outside the diner in the rain for hours, staring at the neon sign, repeating one question over and over. Why would someone with nothing feed someone like me? He pulled out his phone. "I need to find her again. I need to know who she really is." The rain had stopped, but Jace Walker hadn't moved from his spot outside the diner. The food she gave him still lingered on his tongue, but more than that, her words stayed lodged in his heart. "Just promise me you'll do something kind for someone else someday." It haunted him, in the best way. That night, Jace pulled out his phone. Still working, though barely, with the last signal on his prepaid SIM card. His expensive iPhone had been stolen days ago. Now he used a $39 gas station burner phone and a half-functioning battery. From the shadows of his former life, he began searching for her. But he had no name. No receipt. No clue. All he remembered was her uniform, Sammy's Grill. And her eyes, the kind that saw through wealth and ego. He pulled up an old contact from his past, Daniel Cruz, a freelance private investigator who once worked for his father. Daniel owed Jace a favor from a few years back, and Jace was cashing in. "I need a location." Name, unknown. Just a face and a diner uniform. Can you work with that? You're lucky I'm bored, Daniel texted back. Send a pic of the diner. I'll do some digging. Jace took a photo from across the street and waited. Meanwhile, he slept in a nearby shelter, one where billionaires don't go. Where no one knew his last name. Where success meant surviving the cold night without giving up your shoes. Across town, Autumn wiped down tables with tired hands. The smell of grease clung to her skin like sadness. Her shift was almost over, and her feet felt like they had walked across the country. Her $20 was gone, spent on a stranger. No regrets, but no dinner either. She walked home in silence, past streetlights flickering like broken hope. When she got to her apartment, her mother was sitting up on the couch, coughing into a rag again. Blood spots. Mama, you need to go to the hospital, Autumn whispered. And tell them what? Janet replied. That we pay with hope. Autumn sat beside her and cried quietly. I met someone today. A stranger. I gave him food. It was all I had. And would you do it again? Her mother asked. Yes, Autumn replied. Every time. Janet smiled through the pain. Then I know you'll be all right. But Autumn didn't see the danger lurking in the shadows of her job. Enter, Chad Dixon. A kitchen assistant at the diner. Always watching. Always lurking near Autumn, pretending to help, but only getting in her way. He'd asked her out 3 times. She'd politely refused. Now he watched her from behind the kitchen blinds, eyes narrow. He saw her give that meal to Jace. Saw the look in her eyes. Jealousy bubbled under his skin. So that's the kind of guy she's into now, he muttered. Chad had a plan, and it started with getting Autumn fired. Back in the shelter, Jace's phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. Found her. Name's Autumn Ray. Age 24. Lives nearby. Works at Sammy's Grill on North Avenue. Want more? Jace's heart thudded. Yes. Everything. I want to know everything. Even the bad? Daniel asked. Especially the bad. But Jace had no idea that the deeper he dug, the closer he'd come to a truth that would shatter him, and a danger that neither of them saw coming. Jace is about to discover Autumn's full story, but is he ready for what he'll find? Chad is about to sabotage Autumn's job, and if he succeeds, everything she's worked for will collapse. 2 days had passed since Autumn gave her last $20 to feed a stranger. Since then, every shift felt heavier, every step more uncertain. Her mother's cough had gotten worse. The pharmacy refused to give meds on credit. But Autumn kept showing up, wiping tables and wearing that same tired smile. Across the street, Jace Walker stood in silence. He had changed into cleaner clothes, a plain navy hoodie, faded jeans, and the same worn sneakers. Clothes borrowed from a shelter box. Still no car, no assistant, no bank account. But in his pocket was a scrap of paper with one name, Autumn Ray. Jace pushed open the door of Sammy's Grill. The bell above the entrance chimed, catching Autumn's attention. Their eyes met. For a moment, everything slowed. She recognized him instantly, the man she fed, the man who didn't even know her name. But now, here he was, standing clean and dry, but still quiet. Still carrying something heavy. Autumn approached with her notepad. Welcome back, she said softly. Did you find your wallet? Jace gave a small smile. No, but I found something better. She tilted her head. Oh. A reason, he replied. To be grateful. She smiled, confused but warm. Glad you came back. Can I get you something? Same as last time, he said. But this time, I'm paying. As she walked off to place the order, Chad Dixon watched from the kitchen. His jaw tightened. He saw their smiles, the eye contact, the warmth. He stepped out from the back, pretending to clean a coffee machine. When Jace's food was ready, Chad grabbed the plate before Autumn could. "I got it," he said, forcing a grin. He walked over and dropped the plate in front of Jace, not gently. "Enjoy," Chad muttered, turning quickly before anyone could read his face. What no one saw was what he had done. He'd sprinkled a handful of salt into the scrambled eggs, hoping to make Jace angry, hoping it would cause a scene that would fall back on Autumn. Jace took a bite. His eyes widened. It was awful. But he didn't complain. He didn't even flinch. Autumn returned. "How's the food?" Jace paused, then smiled. "Best meal I've ever had." She laughed. "Now I know you're lying." "I'm not," Jace replied. "I've had 5-star meals that cost more than rent. But they didn't come with kindness." From behind the kitchen door, Chad seethed. Why is she smiling at him like that? Why didn't he say anything about the food? His plan had failed. For now. Later that evening, as Autumn clocked out, she walked toward the exit. Jace was already standing by the door, waiting. "Mind if I walk with you?" he asked. Autumn hesitated. "It's a long walk. The bus is faster." "I like long walks," he said. "You see more of life when you slow down." She nodded, and the two stepped out into the night. The city buzzed quietly around them. Streetlights hummed overhead. Their steps fell in rhythm, though their worlds couldn't have been more different. "Can I ask something?" Autumn said. "Anything," Jace replied. "You're not from around here, are you?" Jace laughed lightly. "What gave me away?" "You've got that, I've seen too much, kind of calm." Jace turned to her. "I could say the same about you." She smiled, but her eyes were tired. "Maybe we've both seen just enough to appreciate the quiet." They walked in silence for a while. At a street corner, Jace stopped. "This is where I turn," he said. Autumn nodded. "Okay." Jace hesitated. "Can I see you again?" "Not here. Just to talk." Autumn looked unsure. She wanted to say yes. But something in her warned her to be careful. "I'll think about it," she said. "I'm working doubles this week." Jace nodded. "I'll wait." As he turned and walked into the night, Autumn watched him go, still unsure who he was, or what he wanted. But something about him felt safe, and familiar. She didn't know that someone had been watching them from across the street the whole time. A figure standing under a broken lamppost, camera phone in hand, recording. Chad. And tonight, he had everything he needed to destroy her. Autumn doesn't know she's about to be accused of fraternizing with customers, and worse. And Jace doesn't know that Chad is preparing to expose him too, but not for who he is, for who he isn't. The next morning at Sammy's Grill, the air was unusually stiff. Workers moved quietly, side-glancing at Autumn like something had already happened, but no one said a word. Autumn noticed. She clocked in, tied her apron, and began wiping the counter. But the whispers behind her felt louder than usual. Even the manager, Mr. Reynolds, who usually greeted her with a nod, kept his eyes low as he walked past. At 11:23 a.m., just before the lunch crowd arrived, Mr. Reynolds called her into the back office. Autumn stepped in, confused. He didn't look up. Just pointed to a folded piece of paper on the desk. "Take a look at that." She picked it up and opened it. Her face froze. It was a printout of a still image from a phone video, her and Jace walking together after closing hours. The frame looked innocent, but the angle was cruel. It looked like they were holding hands. The lighting was dark. The caption on the printout read, "Waitress secretly meets up with male customer after hours. Restaurant reputation at risk?" This isn't what it looks like," Autumn stammered. Mr. Reynolds finally looked up. Autumn, I've received an anonymous complaint. The email said you've been giving out food to male customers for free and meeting them after hours. The implication is, unprofessional conduct. That's not true. Autumn said. I bought that food with my own money. I helped a man who had nothing. He wasn't even a regular. Reynolds sighed. Look, I believe you. But this isn't just about food. Someone's watching you. And now they've looped in the owner. He doesn't want any scandals. Autumn's voice cracked. Please don't do this. I've worked here for almost a year. I've never even been late. He looked torn. I'm sorry, Autumn. This comes from higher up. You're suspended, indefinitely. We'll call you if anything changes. She stood frozen. It felt like the walls were closing in. So that's it. No investigation. Just, gone. Reynolds looked away. Autumn walked out, her vision blurred with tears. She didn't even bother taking off her apron. She walked through the dining area with her chin up. Until she caught Chad watching her from the kitchen door. He smirked. And in that moment, she knew. He had set her up. Elsewhere, Jace sat in the back corner of a public library, scrolling through his notes. Daniel had just sent him Autumn's full background: top student, lost her father early, taking care of her sick mother, applying to over 200 jobs in the past year. And now, working at a small diner. Jace's chest tightened. She had every reason to turn bitter, but she hadn't. His phone buzzed again. This time it was a link. Daniel had tracked down a suspicious video circulating among low-level restaurant staff forums. The caption read, "Waitress caught getting cozy with customer. Fired." Jace's blood ran cold. It was her. He stood up instantly, heart pounding, and ran toward the exit. He called Daniel. Find out who posted that. Now. Daniel replied, already did. Guy named Chad Dixon. Works in the kitchen. Jace's eyes narrowed. Then I'm going to the diner. Right now. Back at the apartment, Autumn sat on the floor beside her mother's chair. Janet reached for her hand. What happened, baby? She asked. Autumn broke. They fired me, Mama. Said I was doing something wrong. Said I was unprofessional. Janet pulled her close, holding her like she did when she was little. I just wanted to help someone, Autumn whispered. And you did, Janet said. The world just isn't always kind to kind people. But your day is coming. You hear me? You keep doing good. It always comes back. Autumn nodded, but her soul was weary. Minutes later, the bell above Sammy's grill rang again. Jace walked in. This time, he didn't sit in the corner. He walked straight to the front counter, his voice sharp. I want to speak to whoever fired Autumn Ray. Mr. Reynolds looked up from the register. Who's asking? Jace pulled out a black card, the kind only executives and ultra-high net worth clients carry. Reynolds froze. I'm Jace Walker. My father is Douglas Walker. We own one of the largest real estate firms in the country, Jace said flatly. I have money. I have lawyers. And I have the truth. So unless someone wants this diner turned into a parking lot, you'll call Autumn right now, and you'll fix this. From behind the kitchen door, Chad heard every word, and nearly dropped the tray in his hand. Autumn's phone buzzes with a call from the diner manager, at the exact moment she's considering applying to clean bathrooms at a gas station. But when she answers, what she hears will change her future forever. Meanwhile, Chad realizes the man he framed isn't just any customer. He's a billionaire's son. And now, Jace knows everything. Autumn sat quietly at the edge of her mother's bed, staring at a wrinkled job flyer for night janitor needed, immediate start. Her hands trembled. Her eyes burned. Her spirit was exhausted. Then her phone rang. Unknown caller. She hesitated. Then answered. Hello. Autumn, it's Mr. Reynolds, from Sammy's. Her entire body tensed. I need to apologize. We made a mistake. A huge one. You were set up. We've reviewed everything. You're not in any trouble. We want to reinstate your position immediately, on full pay. Autumn blinked. Wait, what? Reynolds continued, stumbling over his words. And actually, someone would like to speak with you. He's here now. There was a pause, then a new voice came through the phone. It's me, Autumn. Jace. Her heart dropped. I'm sorry I didn't come clean earlier. I didn't want to scare you away. But I couldn't stay quiet anymore. She stood up slowly, phone pressed to her ear. What's going on? I want to tell you everything, in person. Please. Just once. Meet me at the bench by the Rose Garden downtown. The place near the bus stop. 1 hour. Autumn hesitated. Every part of her screamed that this was strange, fast, maybe even risky. But her heart whispered, he defended you when no one else did. She whispered back, I'll be there. 1 hour later, Autumn stood beneath the whispering trees of the downtown Rose Garden. Summer leaves danced in the breeze. The fountain trickled quietly. Then Jace appeared. He wasn't wearing the hoodie anymore. No more hand-me-down jeans. He wore a crisp button-down, black slacks, and a look of quiet confidence. Autumn looked at him carefully. You look different. I am, he said. And it's time I stop pretending otherwise. They sat down on the bench. Jace took a breath. My full name is Jace Anthony Walker. I'm the son of Douglas Walker, founder of Walker Global Real Estate. We build high-rises. Own shopping plazas. We're in Forbes almost every year. Autumn's lips parted slightly, stunned. You're a billionaire's son. Yes. But I walked away from it all. Why? He turned to her, eyes raw. Because it never felt like mine. I grew up in gold, but I felt empty. Everything was picked for me, school, job, future wife. I couldn't breathe. So I left. And became, what? A drifter. A dreamer. A man trying to figure out who he was without money. Autumn blinked back emotion. Why didn't you tell me? Because I needed to know if someone could care about me without the name, the cars, the status. And then, you bought me dinner. She looked away, suddenly emotional. I didn't even have enough for my mom's medicine that day. I know, he whispered. Daniel told me. You looked so lost, she said. And I saw a part of myself in you. They sat in silence. Then Jace pulled something from his pocket, a card. This is a business card. It's yours now. Autumn hesitated before taking it. She read aloud. Autumn Ray. Executive Assistant to the CEO, Walker Global Real Estate. Her hand shook. What is this? It's your offer. I'm officially joining my father's company, but only on one condition. Which is that I get to build a new division inside the company. A creative wing. A music and arts venture. And I want you to help run it with me. You have the heart, the mind, and the integrity. Autumn gasped. But I'm just a waitress. You're not. You're brilliant. You're educated. You're selfless. You're everything this world needs more of. She covered her mouth, eyes filling with tears. I can't promise a perfect journey, Jace said, but I can promise that you'll never be alone again. Autumn stared at him. Are you asking me to be your partner, in business? Jace smiled. For now. She blinked, then laughed through her tears. I don't know if I'm dreaming. You're not, he said. You're just finally waking up, to what you deserve. Autumn agrees to the job. But when Jace's father hears who Jace has hired, he's furious, and summons Autumn to the family mansion for a face-to-face meeting that may decide her fate, and Jace's future. 3 days later, a black car pulled up to the gates of a sprawling estate in Belmont Heights, the kind of place that looked less like a house and more like an empire with windows. Guarded gates. Marble lions. A driveway long enough to host a car parade. Autumn sat in the back seat, knees pressed together, palms clammy in her lap. She wore her best, a navy blouse and a pencil skirt she bought years ago for job interviews. Her modest heels tapped nervously on the car floor. The driver didn't speak. The closer they got, the heavier the silence became. At the front doors stood Douglas Walker, tall, silver-haired, and intimidating in a bespoke charcoal suit. His eyes were sharp, not cruel, but calculating. The kind that had negotiated billion-dollar deals and didn't believe in coincidences. Beside him was Mrs. Eleanor Walker, Jace's mother, graceful, elegant, and watching Autumn with a look that was hard to read. Jace stood between them. He smiled when he saw her, but it was tight, cautious. Autumn stepped out of the car, legs trembling beneath her. Mr. and Mrs. Walker, she said, offering a respectful nod. Douglas didn't smile. Come in. They walked into a grand foyer with ceilings higher than anything Autumn had ever seen. Chandeliers sparkled overhead. A staircase curved like a sculpture. The air smelled like money and fresh polish. They sat in a large drawing room, her on a single chair, the family on a regal couch across from her. Douglas leaned forward, fingers steepled. So. You're Autumn Ray. Yes, sir. You gave my son food when he had nothing. Why? Autumn took a breath. Because he looked like someone who needed it. Douglas tilted his head. You didn't know who he was. No last name. No status. And you gave him the last of what you had? Yes, sir. He paused. Were you expecting anything in return? No, sir. I didn't even think I'd see him again. Eleanor Walker leaned in, softer than her husband. Autumn, what do you want from Jace now? Autumn hesitated, then answered honestly. Nothing. He's already given me more than I could ask for, respect, opportunity, belief. Douglas leaned back, unconvinced. You know people have tried to manipulate him before. For access. For money. Fame. I'm not people, Autumn said firmly. I'm Autumn Ray. I worked at Sammy's Grill. I cared for my dying mother while cleaning tables and fighting off eviction. I didn't ask for Jace to walk into my life. But I won't apologize for being kind to him. Her voice trembled slightly but stayed steady. Douglas stared at her for a long time. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled, just slightly. I had a feeling you'd say something like that. Autumn blinked. Sir. Eleanor smiled gently. He set this whole thing up. The test. The questions. The silence. Jace looked sheepish. I wanted them to see the Autumn I see, before anything official happened. Autumn stared at him. So, this was all part of some test. Douglas raised a hand. Not a test to fail you. A test to see if you were real. And you passed. Then he pulled out a slim folder and handed it to her. Inside, a formal contract. Position, Strategic Project Coordinator, Walker Creative Ventures. Annual salary, $120,000. Full benefits. Company housing. Travel allowance. Autumn's eyes filled with tears. I don't know what to say. Douglas stood and extended his hand. Just say you'll help my son build something meaningful. Autumn stood too, shaking his hand firmly. Yes, sir. I will. Jay stepped forward and whispered, I knew you would. Autumn steps into her new role, but not everyone in Jace's wealthy circle is happy about it. Behind the scenes, Jace's ex-fiancée, whom his parents once approved of, finds out, and she's not letting go without a fight. 2 weeks into her new job, Autumn Ray had already made waves at Walker Creative Ventures, the brand new division Jace had built inside his father's billion-dollar company. She brought fresh ideas, organized teams, managed creatives, and helped sign the first local artist for their launch project. Everyone saw her brilliance, except one. Isla Kensington. Daughter of a media mogul. Heiress. Harvard MBA. Jace's ex-fiancée. She had once been the Walker family's perfect future daughter-in-law, until Jace ended things, citing a lack of emotional connection. But the truth? She only loved the version of him wrapped in a Rolex and family legacy. Now she was back, uninvited, after hearing whispers that Jace had hired a girl from a diner. Diner girl, she scoffed as she scrolled through Autumn's LinkedIn page. It had one job, server, Sammy's Grill. She smirked. Let's see how long that lasts. At the office, Autumn walked through the glass halls in quiet focus, clutching a tablet and reviewing budgets. She wore a smart navy suit, her hair pulled into a neat bun. Jace had noticed the change in her, not just the clothes, but the confidence. She belonged here now. But she hadn't lost her humility. You're killing it, he said one morning as they met in the elevator. Autumn blushed. I'm trying not to break anything. You're building, he corrected, not breaking. But as the elevator doors opened, Isla Kensington stepped in. Autumn looked up, confused. Jace froze. Isla, he said cautiously. She smiled like a predator. Hello, darling. Miss me? Autumn's heart skipped. She could feel it, this woman was power in heels. Oh, Isla added, turning to Autumn, you must be the one who serves both coffee and spreadsheets now. Autumn blinked. Excuse me. Jace stepped in. Isla, this isn't your floor. Isla smirked. Yet. As she stepped off, she turned back one last time. Let me know if you need help, adjusting to this world. Autumn stood still. Jace could feel her mood shift. You okay? He asked softly. Yeah, she said. But her heart said otherwise. The next day, during a leadership meeting, Autumn gave a brilliant pitch on community-based music discovery. The execs clapped. But hours later, she received a call from HR. Autumn, we've received a plagiarism complaint. Someone submitted internal emails showing your pitch closely matches an older proposal by another consultant. We're not saying anything's final, but we're required to investigate. Her heart dropped. She knew she had never copied a thing. After the call, she rushed to Jace's office. He was already reading the email. You think I stole a pitch? She asked, trembling. I don't, he said firmly. But someone's clearly trying to make it look like you did. And he had a sinking feeling who it was. That night, at an upscale rooftop event, Jace confronted Isla in private. Why did you do it? Because she's not one of us, Isla said coolly. You think the board is going to take your little charity hire seriously? You're not building a company. You're building a scandal. She earned her place, Jace said, eyes sharp. Then let's see how she handles fire. Back home, Autumn stared at her screen in silence. The HR email sat open. She was given 72 hours to respond with a defense, or face possible termination. She buried her face in her hands. She had climbed so far, but someone was trying to cut her down. And she had no proof. The next morning, a mysterious envelope appears on Autumn's desk, anonymous, unmarked. Inside, a flash drive. What's on it could either save her, or destroy everything. Autumn sat at her desk, heart pounding. The unmarked envelope had been slid under her door before office hours. No note. No handwriting. Just a small, silver flash drive inside. Its weight felt heavier than gold. She hesitated. Then plugged it into her work laptop. One folder. Labeled, Proof. Inside were 2 video files and a PDF. Autumn clicked the first video. Her breath caught in her throat. It was security footage from an internal office server. It showed Isla, late at night, entering the Walker Creative Ventures boardroom alone. She placed a printed proposal on the desk, identical to the one Autumn had pitched, hours before Autumn's meeting. The second file. Isla walking out of the legal department an hour later, holding a file folder, with Autumn's name clearly visible on the label. The final document, the PDF, was an email transcript. From Isla Kensington at consultwalker.com. To HR Department at walkerglobal.com. Subject, whistleblower concern, plagiarism. I feel it's my ethical duty to report that Miss Autumn Ray may have recycled confidential material from my old pitch. The similarities are too direct to ignore. Autumn sat back in her chair, jaw clenched. It was a setup. And now? She had proof. But one question remained, who sent it? Then her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text only. You don't know me. But I know her. And I hate injustice. Handle it wisely. Don't let her win. Autumn stared at the screen, stunned. But there was no time to waste. She printed everything. Put the flash drive in her pocket. And marched straight to Jace's office. Jace had barely finished his morning coffee when she burst in. I have it, she said, eyes blazing. Proof. All of it. He stood. What do you mean? Autumn dropped the files on his desk like cards at a poker table. Jace scrolled through the videos, then stared at the email. She went this far, to destroy you. She failed, Autumn said. Now help me make it official. Within hours, Douglas Walker was in a closed-door meeting with HR, legal counsel, and security. Isla was summoned under the guise of a strategy briefing. She walked in confidently. Until the monitor lit up. Until her own face stared back from the security footage. Her eyes widened. Her lips parted. But she said nothing. Douglas Walker sat forward, voice like thunder. You set up an innocent woman. You used your position, your access, and your last name to weaponize our company against someone who actually earned her place here. Isla began to stammer. I was just trying to. You were trying to sabotage someone who threatens you. That's called fear. And fear has no seat at this table. He pointed to the door. You're dismissed. Permanently. Isla blinked. You're firing me. No, Douglas said. You're firing yourself. Actions have consequences. She walked out in stunned silence, reputation shattered. Back in her office, Autumn received a message from the unknown number again. Well played. She underestimated you. Most of them will. Keep proving them wrong. She replied this time. Who are you? No answer. But somewhere in the background, someone was watching over her. Later that night, Jace found Autumn in the building's rooftop garden. She stood by the railing, looking out at the skyline. You saved yourself today, he said. No, Autumn replied. I just finally stopped apologizing for existing in rooms I belong in. Jace smiled. Then pulled something from his jacket, a key on a velvet string. What's that? she asked. The key to your new office. You're being promoted. To what? Director of Talent and Partnerships. You're building the entire creative wing. From scratch. Autumn stared at the key. Then at him. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Autumn accepts her new role. But back in her old neighborhood, her mother receives an unexpected visitor, someone from Autumn's past with a dark agenda, and a plan to bring Autumn's entire world crashing down. It was a peaceful Thursday morning. At the quiet apartment in South Kansas City, Janet Ray, Autumn's mother, had just finished folding laundry when someone knocked at the door. Not the usual polite knock. This was sharp. Rhythmic. Aggressive. She opened the door slowly. Standing there was a man in a leather jacket, one hand stuffed in his pocket, the other holding a thin envelope. He had a crooked smile and eyes that danced with mischief. Afternoon, Ms. Ray. Remember me? Janet's eyes widened. Her hand flew to her chest. Trey. Trey Moore. Autumn's ex-boyfriend from college. The one who vanished right after borrowing $2,000 from her savings to help his cousin post bail, money she never got back. He had also ghosted her the week her father passed. Now, 2 years later, here he stood on her mother's doorstep. I hear your girl's living good now, Trey said, eyes gleaming. New job. Fancy car. Working with the Walkers, huh? Big money. Janet stepped outside and closed the door behind her. What do you want, Trey? Let's call it unfinished business, he said, waving the envelope. I got receipts. You know, from back then. I could ruin that little clean image she's selling. Janet narrowed her eyes. She has nothing to hide. Trey grinned. Really? Because this envelope says otherwise. Signed IOUs, text messages, maybe even some old photos. You know how the media loves a poor girl with a sketchy past. Janet's voice lowered. Are you threatening my daughter? Trey leaned close. Nah, Ms. Ray. I'm offering her a chance. A deal. She pays me $25,000 and I disappear. No drama. No headlines. Then he walked off, leaving the envelope in her hand. Janet stood there trembling. Back at Walker Creative Ventures, Autumn was leading a team briefing when she saw her mother's name flash on her phone, twice. The second time, she excused herself and answered. Mama, everything okay? Janet's voice was shaken. Autumn. Someone came by today. It's Trey. Autumn's stomach dropped. He says he has things. Old messages. Money you gave him. Says he'll go public. Autumn's head spun. Public with what? That I loved someone once. That I got scammed by him. Let him talk. Janet hesitated. He's threatening to hurt your reputation. You're working with powerful people now. Let him try, Autumn said, steel in her voice. I'm not ashamed of who I used to be. I'm proud of how far I've come. But the moment she hung up, her hands began to shake. She knew how this world worked. And she knew. Trey wouldn't stop. The next day, as Autumn pulled into the Walker HQ parking lot, reporters were already outside. Flashbulbs. Questions. Miss Ray, is it true you were involved in a financial scandal back in college? Did you defraud your ex-boyfriend to fund your tuition? Are you the real brains behind Walker Creative, or just Jace Walker's girlfriend? She froze. How did they get here so fast? Her inbox exploded with messages. Rumors. Online blogs spinning headlines. Social media erupting. One tweet said. From server to scammer. Autumn Ray's fast rise under scrutiny. Inside the building, Jace slammed the door behind him. I just saw it. The headlines. The photos. Trey's running a full media play. Autumn nodded, numb. He wants $25,000 to clear the air. Jace's eyes burned. I'll handle it. No, she said, I will. I won't let my past dictate my present. But I might need your help. He stepped closer. Name it. Autumn took a deep breath. Let's go public. With the truth. With the full story. I want to tell people who I really am, no PR team, no lawyer-crafted statements. Just me. Are you sure? Jace asked. Absolutely, she said. Because if I don't own my story, someone else will. The next morning, a live interview aired on a popular streaming news channel. The host introduced her warmly. And then Autumn told it all. From growing up poor, to losing her father, to cleaning tables, to falling for Trey and losing her savings, to the day she gave her last $20 to feed a stranger. I'm not perfect, she said on air. But I'm not a scammer. I'm not a thief. I'm a fighter. And I will not be ashamed of being human. The internet exploded, in support. Hashtags trended, hashtag #AutumnRayTruth. Hashtag dignity over drama. Hashtag from diner to director. Even celebrities reposted clips, applauding her transparency and strength. Trey disappeared from the spotlight in disgrace. His blackmail attempt backfired. Later that night, Autumn sat on a park bench alone, watching the stars, letting the air return to her lungs. Jace found her there. He sat beside her, held her hand. You didn't just survive, he whispered. You set the standard. She turned to him. Do you still believe in building something real? With you? Always. The company is booming. Autumn's name is everywhere. But now Jace is planning something deeply personal. A moment that could change their story from success to forever. 6 months later, the world was a different place for Autumn Ray. She was no longer the girl bussing tables to pay for her mother's medicine. Now she stood on the 37th floor of the Walker Creative Tower, looking out at the skyline. Her name was etched on the office door, Autumn Ray, Director of Talent and Creative Partnerships. She had hired 12 people. Helped fund the debut of 3 young artists. Built a team rooted not just in business, but in purpose. But despite her success, Autumn stayed grounded. She still visited her old neighborhood on Sundays. Still gave to the shelter where Jace once slept. Still sent half her paycheck to her mother, who was now fully recovered and smiling more each day. Yet, something was stirring. Jace had been acting different the last few weeks. Secretive. Soft-spoken. Always working on something, but never saying what. Then one Friday morning, Autumn arrived at work to find her office door missing. In its place was a note. Follow the rose petals. J. Confused, she turned around, and there they were. Fresh red rose petals trailing across the marble floor, down the hallway, into the elevator, which was already open and waiting. She stepped inside. As the doors opened on the rooftop, her breath caught. Hundreds of fairy lights danced overhead. A string quartet played softly in the corner. The skyline shimmered. And there, in the center of it all, stood Jace Walker, in a tailored navy suit, holding a small box. Autumn slowly stepped toward him. Tears welled in her eyes before he even spoke. I had everything, Jace said. Money, legacy, power. But none of it mattered until the day you looked at me like I was human, and gave me a meal you couldn't afford. He opened the box. Inside, a delicate platinum ring with a single, stunning sapphire, not a diamond. Because you are not like everyone else, he continued. You're rare. Honest. Real. And you didn't save me with $1, you saved me with dignity. He knelt down, hand trembling. Autumn Ray, will you marry me? She dropped to her knees before he could finish. Yes, she sobbed. Yes. 1,000 times, yes. He placed the ring on her finger as the music swelled. They kissed under the stars, wrapped in light, laughter, and the sound of a new future being born. 1 year later. They stood hand in hand at the grand opening of the Autumn Foundation, a non-profit initiative launched under the Walker Empire, focused on helping underserved youth find careers in music, arts, and business. In front of the press, Jay stepped aside and let Autumn speak first. This all began with one choice, she said into the microphone. To give, even when I had nothing. I never imagined that act of kindness would lead here. But I've learned something since then. She paused, tears rising. Kindness is never wasted. It always finds its way home. The audience erupted in applause. And in the front row, Janet Ray wept softly, clutching a tissue in one hand and a wedding invitation in the other. The screen faded to black. Then lit up with one final message. Never underestimate the power of kindness. The stranger you help today might be the one who changes your life tomorrow.